here for about 4 years and have just received notification that we are in the middle of 2 potential lines for the Western Transmission Project. One line is the north-south route that they're proposing and possible terminal station for the power station, and we're also potentially in the route for the western line that goes to Moorabool. The reason we were attracted to this area was the unique volcanic soils and high elevation, as well as high rainfall. So it's an ideal combination for agriculture. Agriculture is something that we live and breathe, and our business relies on those natural attributes. This area is really tightly held. It's been, aside from this property, all our neighbouring properties are run by 5th generation. Well, I'm all for green energy and renewable energy. It's really important, and it will be more and more widely adopted in the years to come. But I see a sort of infrastructure project like this being fairly antiquated and old school, and I think the technologies are available now to go underground, and I strongly believe that AEMO and the contracted company AusNet need to closely consider looking at other technologies besides above ground. So there's evidence to prove that it can be done, and quite recently, as well as decades ago. So it's not that new, it can be done, and it also will give certainty to all landowners that they're not going to be living in a high bushfire risk environment. So in relation to where we're standing right now, the top of an 80-metre pylon would be approximately the top height of our hill over here versus the bottom down there. So in relation to the current pylons that are there, they're 40 metres high. So potentially these new pylons will be twice the height, but also twice as wide. We're lucky enough to see almost daily a trio of wedge-tailed eagles who fly over. This is, I think, their feeding zone. We have a ton of rabbits here for them to choose from, as well as other predatory birds like hawks and falcons, swamp hares that come in from the lower lying areas, and also some yellow-tailed black cockatoos that fly over and feed up here. The birds will be hugely affected because they're often migratory, but they also have their feeding zones and their nesting zones, so they'll be travelling across the areas that potentially these transmission lines will be standing. So there's potentially big impact for those birds, and high death rates have been caught up, particularly the way that they do hunt their prey. They're often not looking sideways, they're just looking straight down, and potentially we will see a reduction in these beautiful and often rarely seen birds in other parts of Victoria. AusNet have applied to the government to ascertain whether an environmental effects statement is necessary as part of the planning process. Yes, potentially that would be really unfortunate, and I think the government would hopefully recognise that that wouldn't be due and proper process, that an environmental effects statement was not completed prior to such a large infrastructure project being built for 200 kilometre span. So this week, in the next 7 days, a decision will be handed down by the Planning Minister, and I'm hopeful that he will see the necessary steps that they need to take for that to happen. I hope your email box is not full and you're able to read all the emails that you'll be receiving about this project. There are a lot of very passionate landowners and concerned residents who are not feeling like they've been consulted. We don't feel like the contracted company AusNet are consulting adequately with landowners in the area. In fact, we're being picked off one by one, and we have not had an opportunity to meet as a community. I don't think COVID is an excuse. I think that's convenient, and I really am hopeful that for a project of this scale, that proper process is followed.